moving on to the next premise of the book. Remember that phrase quoted at the beginning of the video?
I would be angry with myself if I caused someone to lose faith, being someone who needs it or simply lives better thanks to it.
Let's review it now. Faith is the north. It is the direction and meaning of life for hundreds of thousands of people. Belief in God often leads to a sense of belonging, in this case to a religious community, providing social support and interpersonal connections. In addition, faith can be an emotional comfort in times of adversity, providing hope and strength to overcome challenges. I have personal opinion on this. I believe that if religion is good for people, if it helps more than it hinders, who are we to want to interfere with?
The problem, in my opinion, is when religion starts to generate internal demands, a feeling of obligation, or can get in the way of a personal finance. Then things get complicated, as we have already seen several examples of people who donated a car, house, and so on. An example that I usually give about this internal pressure that starts to generate discomfort, which is an example coming from my own personal experience. I've met people who attended Banda Center. I even had a relationship with a beautiful girl who attended African origin religions, and I had nothing against. I don't have any kind of religious bias. I respect all religions before they want to cancel me, okay? The problem is that this girl was supposed to be present on specific days of the week, and it happening that one or two of those days she was with me, and it was notable that the person was restless and generate a feeling of great inner pressure because she missed the meeting. I have seen a similar situation many times with the evangelical church. I attended many years, and 70% of my family is Protestant. How many times I have myself witnessed pastors giving moral lessons to those who had missed the Sunday service. I won't even go into the merit that the shepherd charged for the love of the sheep, etc. The point is that when it becomes an obligation, then, in my opinion, it starts to become worrying. I'm not saying that a person cannot and should not have a commitment to their religion's community, but when it starts to interfere with private life in a way that generates toxic feelings like guilt for missing a meeting, anxiety about not meeting high moral standards or behavior, and the unattainable sanctity that one imposes, I see this as a warning sign.
To increase our reasoning, take a good look at another statement by the author. There are more saints among believers than among atheists. This does not prove the existence of God, but it forbids despising religion. Note that the author, even though he is an atheist, seems to be sensitive to the point of recognizing that religion has its uses and that it can indeed be important for the well-being of many people. Imagine a simple person with few studies, that all his knowledge is based on religion. There are many people who have never read a book in their lives other than the Bible. You who are here watching this video are probably a reading person who must have an intermediate or advanced knowledge of philosophy, psychology, or history, or if you don't have it, you're here exactly looking for that. I don't know if you've had this experience, but it's very complicated for you to argue with a person without any philosophical basis, with very limited humanistic knowledge. In these cases, perhaps the best thing to do for that person is to respect them, love them, and hope that they are happy in their faith. Ignorance is a virtue, or in this case, ignorance is a blessing. I think that phrase would fit well here in this context. These people don't care who Nietzsche was, who René Descartes was, Pythagoras or Socrates. Let them be happy. I confess that I was very pleased to read the teaching of our dear French philosopher André Comte Sponville. Shall we repeat the sentence to fix?
I would be angry with myself if I caused someone to lose faith, being someone who needs it or simply lives better thanks to it.
Following our study, let's go to the next statement. Fear of the police, fear of what will they say about me, and the simple convergence of interests, since interests are transitory and circumstantial, are no longer enough to guarantee social cohesion and control of behavior. Hence the importance of religion as a cohesion factor. According to Durkheim and most sociologists, the true content of religion, that is, its main function is to favor social cohesion, strengthening the communion of consciences and adaptation to the social rules of the group. The statement makes clear the atheist author's alignment with the understanding that religion exercises, for better or for worse, an important social function of standardizing behaviors and cohesion. Sponville goes so far as to assert that a society could live without God and perhaps without religion, but no society can subsist lastingly without communion. For the author, communion can be given out of love for the ideals of freedom, humanity, love of homeland. For Sponville, an atheist can sacrifice himself for these ideals as well as a believer. If at first we are led to dignify these ideals, freedom, love of country, etc., it is interesting to note that the philosopher Nietzsche classified these ideals, humanity, love of country, on the same list as God and all other deities. For Nietzsche, all they were idols that would only be utopias to, in a certain way, intoxicate humanity. I like to do this integrative analysis with different currents of philosophy to always force our critical spirit. But folks, if the fear of the police, the fear of what will they say about me, are no longer enough to guarantee social cohesion, considering what Nietzsche said, nothing is true, everything is allowed, considering also what Ivan Karamazov said, if God does not exist, everything is permitted, also considering that the West no longer has faith, it is sleepy. How is it even possible for religion to maintain communion in society? The answer is given by the author himself. Sponville teaches that all morals are rooted in the past. In the case of society, it comes from history, and in the case of the individual, it comes from childhood, is what Freud calls the superego. The author argues that there must be a kind of critical fidelity to customs, to history. It is neither possible nor feasible to abruptly break with all customs and traditions, as Nietzsche advises. So, according to Sponville, even knowing that our customs were shaped, to a great extent, by the influence of religious concepts and dictates, it would not be prudent to suddenly break with traditions, since they are already rooted in the collective unconscious and, naturally, helped to structure the society as we know, both the positive aspects of society and the darker side. Let's repeat the phrase that served for this discussion and move on to the next one. Fear of the police, fear of what will they say about me, and the simple convergence of interests, since interests are transitory and circumstantial, are no longer enough to guarantee social cohesion and control of behavior. Hence the importance of religion as a cohesion factor.
Guys, I hope you are enjoying it. If you made it this far, leave a like. It costs nothing, and if this type of content interests you, consider subscribing to the channel. Let's follow. An atheist can be faithful. Only 3 days separate him from the believers.
This phrase is uniquely beautiful. Due to his Christian background, Sponville considers himself a staunch atheist. That is, for him, the 33 years of Jesus' life are more important than the miracle of the resurrection. When he says that only 3 days separate him from the believers, what he means is that the teachings of Christ are precious to him. However, at every point throughout the book, he advocates critical observance of doctrines rather than mindless faith. Speaking of faith, here's a quote from St. Thomas. Christ had neither faith nor hope, because there is imperfection in them. But instead of faith, he had naked vision, and instead of hope, he had full understanding of the whole. And so charity was perfected in him. When someone believes he has the truth, he must know that he believes, and not believe that he knows. Quotation by Jules Lequier, French philosopher who died in 1862. Sponville quote the phrase in the context of differentiating between faith and knowledge, claiming that it is not possible to prove the existence of God, nor that he does not exist. No knowledge is absolute truth, that's a known fact. However, it is knowledge only for the part of the truth, always relative, approximate, historical, that it contains, or for the part of the error that it refutes. In my view, André Comte makes this caveat in an attempt to make it clear that the resurrection is a matter of faith and not of truth. Who believes in the resurrection must know that he believes and not believe that he knows. Thus, it would be unreasonable to downplay the stance of an atheist who considers the teachings of Jesus, even though he does not believe in the divinity of Christ. When reflecting on religious wars, often between strands of the same religion, Shiites, ex-Sunnis, and Catholics versus Protestants, Sponville states, "No one has ever gone to war over mathematics or any other science. People only kill themselves for what they can't prove." So repeating the phrase used as a parameter of this block, an atheist can be faithful. Only 3 days separate him from the believers.